Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 4 of season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. called Devils You Know. And I thought this episode was alright. I just kind of feel like they're stretching things out for whatever it is they've got planned for the mid-season finale. And it's like, okay, we're 4 episodes in. I kind of need some sort of big payoff. Episode 2 was really cool in that we got Simmons back and it was a big shock. Here, okay, again, it's going to be 3 episodes from that happening before we get any real answers about what the hell happened. Now, granted, not wanting to push her because of PTSD. Okay, that's realistic. I like how everybody's been like, not brushing that aside. That's great. But again, just in terms of pacing, we're definitely due. Any further than 3 episodes of this would be too much. And 3 episodes is kind of what I've noticed just from my years of watching TV and trying to do it with the eye of a critic rather than just a regular viewer. I've noticed that 3 is a little bit of a magic number. All right, so let's say, for example, you have an episode and it ends with 2 characters. Their relationship is a big deal. They break up for whatever reason. And in the next episode, we follow one of those people from that breakup, and they are just down in the dumps, bottom of the barrel, completely miserable, horrible. Okay. The audience is not going to let this drag on forever. They're going to get sick of this real fast. So, if you want to have your story be good, by the next episode, you need to have, okay, they're still pretty down about this, but they've got to the point where they've picked themselves up and are starting to move on with their life. You could say that towards the end of the episode, have that little, okay, it looks like they're going to start being okay eventually. Next episode, you kind of want this person to be going about their routine normally. You don't want them to pretend all this stuff didn't happen. You can have a little twitch at something that reminds them of the other person. You can have that thing be there in the background, but the main thing going on with that character needs to be something new. Now that's just sort of my personal observation, but so far the show's doing okay of sticking to that, I do appreciate that. And we did get to see a little bit of movement there. I mean, we did see Simmons and Bobby bonding, which is kind of cool. Got to see a little bit of Simmons joking around and realizing, like, oh yeah, this whole thing between me and that I have with Fitz, the system, this really would drive anybody else batty. Okay, that was cool. And then, of course, the big deal at the end of this episode is, she's like, okay, Fitz, I'm gonna tell you what happened to me on that planet. And of course, it makes sense. Who else is she going to tell? Of course she's going to tell Fitz. So, alright, cool there. So, let's see. I think that covers both Fitz and Simmons for the most part this episode. Nothing particular to say about Mac. Now, what's going on with Daisy? Now, that's some interesting stuff. It is really kind of cool to see what happened to some of the other people who were at Afterlife and what happened after everything went to hell for them. Apparently these 2 particular folks from the States just packed up and came on back to the US. And we do kind of continue to see, we get to see Lorraine, the Inhuman, who could split herself into multiple people from last season, which is also cool. I remember seeing behind the scenes she was also apparently like one of the stunt ladies on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think she might be like Adrini Padalecki's stunt double. So Sky and Daisy Sky, okay, the guys. Coulson's not the only one who's apparently having trouble keeping their names straight. Her seeing how she reacts to other Inhumans is pretty interesting. Her frustration with Coulson's deal with the ATCU, her desire to help protect the other Inhumans, doubtlessly to kind of make up for her mother's legacy. I mean, that's all good stuff. And her seeing Fry this episode, this is another little reminder to her that being an Inhuman, it's not all golden for everybody. It certainly didn't work out well for Reyna. And Fry, geez, who did turning out to have be an Inhuman? I mean, who is it worse for than him? All he gets is pain and misery out of this. I mean, Joey, yeah, I mean, he was freaked out. His life, as he knew it, was over, but he could still have something in the future. There was nothing for Fry except what happened to him. The release of death. I mean, how sad is that? And keep in mind, guy was a computer dude. A guy with no small amount of hacking skills either. Someone not unlike, who Daisy was back when she was still calling herself Sky. If she'd been a little bit less lucky, that could have been her. The rashes on her skin, viewing having your life ended as a mercy. As the old saying goes, but for the grace of God, if you believe in that sort of thing. But anywho, that kind of covers what I had to say about Daisy this episode. Since we brought up the ATCU, here we're kind of seeing that, this partnership with S.H.I.E.L.D. is not going so well. And again, despite, her highfalutenness, Rosalind is nowhere near as competent at this sort of thing as Coulson is. Now, Coulson, he is showing that he's starting to get that he has a pretty good read on how to deal with her. He knows how to work this whole, hey, you promised me give and take, I'm going to demand give and take, but I'm going to play ball, because if I do, you can't balk when I say I need something from you, because I've been honoring my side of the deal, which is the smart play. Now, again, I still don't exactly agree with the whole working with the ACTU thing, but again, I can definitely understand where Coulson's coming from. And he is managing to get stuff done. He does manage to get Mac and Daisy on that transport to find out a little bit about where the ACTU is keeping the people they have captured. So, there's definitely some progress on that front. And of course, it's just kind of fun to continue to watch Rosalind and Coulson sort of bounce off of each other. Again, two people cut from the same cloth, and even as May points out, this does start to seem like flirting after a while. Now, getting into May, I didn't particularly like what was going on with her and her husband this episode when we finally get to see them interact again. It just sort of felt like, wait, there definitely should be more to this story. Now, I'm just sitting there wondering, like, did I forget something that was said in a previous episode? Like, was I off getting a drink and something important was said that I missed why Andrew took off, or what? I mean, even May turning up back to be around Coulson, it's just a brief thing that doesn't really seem to have a huge impact. But, of course, this is all to sort of set up the whole situation for what happens when Hunter and Ward are finally in the same room. And I love how May is totally right this episode. Hunter doesn't really have a plan, and what plan he does have runs the extremely high risk of Hydra getting its hands on a mountain of weapons. And he has no plan for, what if he ends up in the same room with Ward, except whip out a gun and try and kill him. And again, they have no S.H.I.E.L.D. backup on this. I mean, Hunter is just... Man, if the fella who played Shane on The Walking Dead wasn't already cast as the Punisher, then Hunter would, just with his sheer, I'm going to kill this son of a bitch, well, Frank Castle would approve. Frank Castle would, however, not approve have absolutely no plan. The Punisher is a guy who knows the value of a goddamn plan. That's why he's the Punisher. Oh man, how bad do I want the Punisher on Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.? That would be so cool. Of course, you'd have to tone down the violence to TV levels, and you don't want to do that with the Punisher. Okay, but we'll save talking about the Punisher for when I do my Daredevil Season 2 review down the line. But in any case, Just one thing I absolutely love was just that sheer oh crap look on Ward's face as soon as he realized that May was there. One, because again, May earned that nickname of the cavalry, not just for what happened in the Middle East, but for many other situations. Ward knows that she could single-handedly turn this situation around. And never mind the fact that she has an enormous list of reasons to want him dead. And, the fact that, yeah, it looks like Ward just had her ex-husband murdered. Oh, yikes. And I love how Ward just sort of throws it right back at him. It's like, hey, you caused me to kill the woman I love. How do you like this, May? Which, again, just makes him a horrible, horrible man, but he's a great villain. It's hard not to enjoy Ward as the bad guy. Having him turn out to be that Hydra agent is still probably the best thing that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ever did. I mean, turn, and all that with that episode, still, after all these years, just a supreme moment in storytelling for this show. But again, that situation ends disastrously, and at best, Lance manages to wing Ward, which is just going to slow him down a little bit. That's not going to stop him. Now, the way they shot it, I'm really kind of confused as to why they're trying to be ambiguous as to whether or not they murdered May's husband. I mean, I just don't really see the hey, he's really still alive payoff. I mean, I guess Ward is sort of like, oh no, we actually killed the store owner, and we've been holding your husband hostage, and then like, hey May, if you want your husband alive, you're gonna have to do something for me. I mean, yeah, that possibility is definitely still out there, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling that idea. Now, what was also interesting that was Werner. He seemed a little bit freaked out by the whole, hey, I just killed somebody, which I don't know. Werner hasn't really gelled for me as a character yet, so I don't really have a huge opinion about his situation either way. Now, I can't think of anything else I feel like I need to talk about except Lash. Now here we actually get to see a little bit more of Lash as a character. It's like, this isn't mercy, it's necessary, or I'm not merciful, I'm necessary, is what he actually said. And then we get the idea that he can apparently change himself back into a normal person from his souped up form. Now, Lash is an extremely new character in the comics. In fact, I think I've read like 2 comics that he was in. So, again, this is not a character I really know that much about. I have no idea what his actual name is. I have no idea if his actual name is even known in the comics. So, I mean, beyond the fact that the special effects makeup looks pretty cool, I have no real opinion about Lash one way or the other. And yeah, that kind of brings me to the end of this one, guys. Again, solid enough episode, but I kind of feel like we really need to start getting some more payoffs like we got in episode 2. Now, I have high hopes for episode 3, just because we're going to finally find out what the hell happened on that planet. Probably get some more nods to Kree and space stuff. So yeah, something to look forward to. Now, with that said, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.